Do you know about the aura, the surroundings of the magnetic field? So you wouldn't have you wouldn't really know what colours I'm picking up about you, would you?
Really.
But that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it makes sense of what I want.
The most prominent colour is I'm seeing red around you at the moment. It normally represents legal issues connected to a vehicle. I don't know if you just had some connection to a vehicle. Would that be correct?
I got a parking ticket today.
Very naughty boy, actually. Yeah.
Around
Around
my
you.
mum don't see this now. I'm in trouble.
Say it again, sorry.
I'm in trouble with my mum now. She sees this.
Okay.
Only person that knew about my parking ticket today was my girlfriend.
Hello. Second up, 23-year-old Anthony Quinlan.
Hi, Andy. I'm Joel. How are you? All right. Nice to meet you. You're all right.
Have a seat.
Originally, when you just walked in, I was going to say you were one of 3, and then I dropped it to 2. How many is in your family?
There's only 1.
Okay. And I just want to take you back a little bit. Was there an instance with an accident with a bike?
I really can't think.
Okay, if I took you back to around 14.
I really can't think.
Okay, keep thinking for me. Okay. Now, I am aware of a lady coming through here, connected to a grandmother. Would there be 3 sisters?
Yeah.
Yes, because she is standing directly behind you now. Okay, and she wants to congratulate you on what you're doing at this present time. Okay, she's just disappeared and she's just gone. Thanks very much for speaking to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How did you find that?
Just amazing, absolutely. That's the only thing I wanted to hear you say. That's the only thing I wanted to hear you say.
She was there for you.
That's mental. That is mental.
I'm absolutely shattered.
It's been suggested that I try the next one.
Come on, Derren.
Okay. Time for a spot of non-psychic mind reading. And my sitter is the instantly arresting Claire Cooper.
How are you? All right.
I'm good,
Nice
thank
to meet
you.
you.
Look amazing. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so one of the reasons why I've avoided pretending to be psychic during my career is that I sort of find it a bit embarrassing and a bit excruciating telling people how they should be or what's going to happen to them, because I think all those things are not helpful to tell people. So I'm just to give myself permission to do this, because otherwise I'll feel bad. But anyway, what I see in you is a soft centre with a very hard armour shell on the outside. Does that make any sense to you? First of all,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Relationship-wise, as I'm saying this, you're thinking back to a recent relationship that I think was troubled and was difficult and was lovely, but when it ended, there was a lot of heartbreak at the end. You went on holiday with this guy, and it was a lovely time, but it didn't solve what this thing was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it the Maldives?
Yes.
Yes. Lovely. Never been there, but it's that image I got of pockets of sand and lots of water. It was the only image I have of it. You move on from that. You wouldn't have dogs. You'd have cats. Yes. And they would be, I think, quite nice pedigree cats. I think you'd probably go for a sort of bluey, silvery, those sorts of things. I don't know much about. I'm a dog person, but does that connect?
Yes,
yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Okay. Then that's all. That's all I think I can say.
Thank you.
Can you tell me your thoughts on that? We've been asking people afterwards what.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Was it?
Yeah, really impressed. I've got 2 British blue cats. That's really amazing you picked up on that, especially the colour. And yeah, I've kind of broke off a relationship recently.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Maldives, but it was kind of all a bit, you know. So yeah.
How did you feel?
I don't do it very often because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not remotely psychic at all, and but I find there's an interesting crossover between what I do and what Joe does, and
How old are you, Claire?
28.
Did you have a Mini at one time?
I've got one now.
You've got one now. You drive a Mini.
Yeah.
And your cat, is the paw okay on one of them, or has it been a little bit of bother?
Mishka had a problem with one of her paws, one of her claws.
Well, I like to come up with facts.
Thank you so much. I know we've kept you for too long. So.
Absolutely fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
I forgot to say about the affair.
What affair?
Oh, it doesn't matter, forget it.
Don't tell me. No, don't tell me. You can't do that.
No, go on, keep going.
We'll leave that for
No, don't leave it.
You just keep travelling in your Mini.
That
So
is
basically,
that.
I could have just been picking that up from the Auric field, which it's stored within the magnetic field, and I wouldn't be a person that would leave you in limbo thinking you know, something was going on.
No, but you were, because you were just going to say, don't think about the affair, and then you're going to
No, because you were putting me on the spot, Darren.
No, you said that yourself. You were going to leave her in limbo on that. So.
No, I wasn't.
As long as you got your hits, but that was quite a nasty thing to say.
It's not hits. It's
well, no, but
facts.
it is. Because
It's facts.
As soon as I say that, you bring it back to, but I was quite good, wasn't I?
It's facts.
But thank you again. Sorry to
Pleasure.
put you through all that. It's
all right.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. Thank
And
you.
you don't.
Mwah. Bye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye, Claire.
Bye.
By observing you today, there is no doubt is that you are not working on a psychic level.
But she's going to go away from that. She could have gone away from that, believing I was psychic. I think if I'd have told her I was psychic, she'd have believed that. And I could have given her some advice. I could have framed it in terms of a spirit telling me these things, you know, a grandmother telling me these things, rather than me sort of being a bit more honest about how I was getting it.
The difference between me and you, I come up with facts.
Just shows that every psychic's different, and they work very, very differently. And I think Derren is psychic. I think he is.
I'm starting to see why mediums like Joe have such appeal. People want to believe he's in contact with their dead loved ones. It brings them a huge amount of comfort.
She feels like she's touched her daughter.
And no matter what happens during the reading, they want to give him the benefit of any doubt.
She wants to congratulate you.
There's a case with Anthony, who was a cast member on Hollyoaks. Joe gave him a lot of information that sort of kept missing, really. Didn't feel like a good reading at all. And after a series of those misses, he finally said there's a grandmother that's come through.
Connected to a grandmother.
Which is kind of obvious that he'd have a grandmother who died. But the fact that he wanted that he wanted to have that contact with his grandmother, that was enough to validate the whole thing. To the extent that immediately afterwards he was saying it was an amazing reading, purely because he'd been told his grandmother had come through.
It's amazing, absolutely. That's the only thing I wanted to hear you say.
The dilemma for me is, I'm kind of interested in taking a step back and going, well, is there any evidence for it? But you realise when you look at what's happening in these readings, no one cares particularly about the evidence. They just want to be told that their loved ones are still there. And the moment even the slightest, faintest implication that may have not been quite what it seemed is hurtful and horrible for them. And of course, it's much more likely to be angry at me for suggesting that than they are at Joe. But there are some common themes already emerging in Joe's claims of contacting the dead. And my driver, Lee, has noticed one in particular, Joe's use of numbers. So, Lee, Joe did a reading for you.
Yeah.
How was that reading?
It was quite scary, really. He seemed quite accurate at the time.
Give me a couple of things he said to you that...
I'm from a family of 4. Which I assumed it was just meant brothers and sisters.
Right.
But he's mentioned that to somebody else, and he meant like mum and dad as well.
So you counted it without mum and dad?
Yeah.
It was 4.
Yeah.
Did you have a Mini at one time?
I've got one now.
You've got one now, you drive a Mini?
Yeah.
What's more, Lee saw something before Claire's reading which might be significant. When you did come in and listen to some of the readings, you heard Joe tell Claire that she drove a Mini. But what did you tell me afterwards, because that was quite interesting?
Well, when he was outside with his car, Claire actually drove past in a Mini Cooper and pulled up alongside him, got out the car and walked past into the building. Now, of course, Joe may not have seen the Mini, so I shall have to ask him. But something about which there's no doubt is that Joe does have a whole lot of ambition. Tonight he'd invited me along to what's considered the next step up any psychic medium's career ladder, a sellout show. And this is the first psychic show I've ever been to. And it's a bit of a surprise. Given the show is all about contacting the dead, I was expecting a sombre audience. But this lot, 250 people paying £10 each, are anticipating a bit of entertainment.
time for Joe to meet his public.
Do you know what I can actually